The mighty paladin! Hello YouTube, today I'm going to join the legions of other YouTubers offering their theories about Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Now for those of you who don't know what Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is, it's a 6-episode YouTube show from 2011 that confused the heck out of the internet. You can still see it on YouTube, there's a link to it in the description below. There has recently been a teaser trailer for a new Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared series called Wakey Wakey that will be on TV somewhere. If you haven't seen Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, you should before you watch this video. But, a warning first. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared presents itself as a children's show with puppets and cartoony props, but turns into deep psychological horror in every episode. The show becomes more and more confusing as it progresses until the surprising and confusing ending of episode 6. It features 4 main characters. Red Guy, Yellow Guy, and Duck are the ones you see the most, but there's also Roy, who hovers in the background, not really participating in the show until the end. Anyways, as I said from the start, there are a lot of theories on YouTube as to what Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is really about. And my own theory is different enough from those that I feel justified in making a video of my own, so let's jump into it. The first clue as to the meaning of the show is the title, something none of the other theories I've seen have tried to explain. Why is the show called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared? To me, the title suggests a fear of intimacy, and what usually causes a fear of intimacy? Loss of a loved one. That's what I believe the whole show is about. Red Guy and Duck are struggling to overcome feelings of guilt over the death of Yellow Guy. Yellow Guy is Roy's son, but he was clearly in Red Guy and Duck's care when he died. Notice how Roy looks so weird and threatening. Red Guy and Duck feel like Roy is judging them. They're tormented by reoccurring dreams of the time they spent with Yellow Guy. These dreams always turn into nightmares because they're overshadowed by Yellow Guy's death and their guilt. So that's the gist of my theory. Now let's go through the show and cover the points that I believe support my theory. In the very first episode, we see Red Guy, Yellow Guy, and Duck sitting around having a good time learning to use their imagination. It seems like a fun memory, but it's overshadowed by Yellow Guy's death. His picture gets covered in black, and he's told that his favorite color isn't creative. When things get really frantic and dark, Duck's artwork is about death. In the end, they agree never to be creative again. The second episode is about time and the inevitability of death. In this episode, we get our first look at Roy, who looks slowly at the camera with a creepy glare. A lot has been made by other YouTubers about how Roy seems to be looking at porn on his computer. I think this is Duck and Red Guy's attempt to say in their own minds that Roy has no right to judge them because he's not perfect himself, a common tactic used by people trying to deflect their own guilt. This episode also has a scene where there are fish everywhere and no reason is given, but later it's shown that Yellow Guy drowned. Notice also that the clock in the fish scene has the same color scheme as Yellow Guy and Roy, suggesting once again that Red Guy is attempting to deflect guilt by saying that death is inevitable. It ends with the words, "Eventually everyone runs out of time." In episode 3, my favorite by the way, we see Red Guy, Yellow Guy, and Duck trying to enjoy a picnic. This is when Yellow Guy died. Death intrudes on their picnic right away when Duck kills a bug which makes Yellow Guy cry and run off. The next time the others see him, he's being taken away in the clouds to heaven. They say that they should follow him, but they decide to stay where they are and eat instead. Clearly, they let Yellow Guy run off, and he died while Red Guy and Duck were eating. When we see him being taken away in the clouds, Red Guy wants to follow him, but Duck wants them to stay and eat first. Clearly, he's not worried about him. When they finish eating, their plates are covered in blood, and Duck stares at the camera for too long after saying, "We have finished the chicken picnic," implying that this is a very key moment. Yellow Guy died and went to heaven while they were eating, but if they had gone after him like they should have, he would have been safe. Their guilt is driven home by a tree in heaven at the center of the scene, perhaps the cross, which tells Yellow Guy the story of Michael. Michael is an unwanted and unloved boy, so he lives in a hole under a rock that resembles the tomb of Jesus. But the story ends with death. There's no resurrection and no hope. This very sad scene tells us that Yellow Guy ran off because he felt unwanted, and then he died. But the story doesn't offer a resurrection of any kind. They are offered no consolation of any kind. When the episode turns into a nightmare, like they always do, it focuses on religion in a very negative way. In fact, it strongly suggests that religious people try to prey on other people's feelings of loneliness, loss, and guilt to rope them into some sort of cult where they surrender their identities. Yeah, nightmare stuff for sure. The episode ends with Red Guy and Duck finding Yellow Guy in a tree asleep. On the surface, this suggests that the death was just a bad dream. But when Red Guy and Duck offer him some leftover food from the picnic in an effort to make it up to him, the egg they offer hatches into a nightmarish bloody worm. They can't escape their guilt. On a deeper level, remember that the tree as a cross has already been introduced, and if Yellow Guy is asleep in the tree, that means once again that he's dead. The fourth episode is the most difficult to dissect and really doesn't seem to fit my theory all that well, but we do see Red Guy looking for answers to questions and not finding them. In the end, he realizes that this is a waste of time. He hasn't found any answers. His attempts seem to have made the problem bigger than it is. He walks off stage, and he sees that it's all just a show and nothing is real. In the fifth episode, Red Guy is mostly absent because he walked out in the previous episode, but he hasn't abandoned Duck or forgotten Yellow Guy, he's just trying to move on. He still cares and keeps trying to reach out to them by calling on the phone. Food is the focus of the episode. Remember that in the third episode we saw that Duck and Red Guy were eating when Yellow Guy died. A tall piece of meat shows up singing and painfully pokes Duck with a fork several times. Duck is chastised for eating too much. Greedy to eat all that, you'll end up with your teeth all gray. Yellow Guy is chastised over and over again with the line, you shouldn't eat food from a stranger's plate. This suggested to me that Duck didn't really know Yellow Guy all that well and may have yelled at him for touching his food before he ran off at the picnic. Duck is trying to blame Yellow Guy for his own death, but it's not working. He knows he chased Yellow Guy off and sat down to eat while Yellow Guy was killed. Duck is literally eaten up with guilt. Yeah, that's pretty much all the fifth episode is about. It's a long build-up to Yellow Guy eating Duck. The sixth and final episode shows that Red Guy hasn't been quite as successful at moving on as we at first thought. He has a dream about Yellow Guy being all alone and tormented because Red Guy and Duck seem to have left him behind. The dream ends with a graphic reenactment of Yellow Guy's death drowning in oil. When Red Guy wakes up, he realizes that getting over Yellow Guy's death isn't as easy as just deciding to move on. He's still struggling and tries to focus on happy memories of Yellow Guy, even singing a song from the first episode. But no one wants to hear him. When the audience starts to boo him off stage, he feels judged, and then he sees the haunting image of Roy. He retreats back into his head, where he sees a machine representing his memories. It shows Yellow Guy suffering and alone, and we hear him say to Red Guy, "You made me die." Red Guy tries to change the scene by using different memories, but it only makes things worse, and Yellow Guy begs him to make it stop. Red Guy is seeing that all of his memories of Yellow Guy have become nightmares and he can't fix it. Finally, Roy shows up, but instead of judging him, he tells him he needs to let it go. He instructs him to pull the plug. When Red Guy pulls the plug, he says, "I wonder what will happen." The very words he said before Yellow Guy died. When he pulls the plug, the scene shifts back to the beginning of the first episode, but this time things are different. It's brighter, less cluttered, and the date on the calendar, which has been the same throughout the show, finally changes, suggesting that he's finally moved on. He still remembers the past, but now it no longer torments him. Getting forgiveness from Roy is what Red Guy needed. So Roy isn't really the villain like we thought. He saves Red Guy by forgiving him. So there you go. Now, I'm just some guy seeing what I see in the show. I don't know the creators, and I didn't do a lot of research like MatPat. But I watched the videos, and this is what I got out of it. The creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, Becky Sloan and Joseph Pelling, said that they find all theories interesting, and even went so far as to say that all theories are correct. But I personally feel that that's a total cop-out. When someone comes up with a theory about the meaning of a work of art, they're not saying, "This is what it says to me." We're trying to figure out what the creator wanted to communicate. A statement like "all theories are correct" just misses the point of our effort, and ultimately tells us it's not worth the effort. So, creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, if you see this video, please tell me what you were trying to say when you made these videos. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. I won't be hurt if I'm wrong. I'm not so attached to my idea that I can't handle the truth. Now, if you thought this video was a complete waste of time, then why not hit that like button, then subscribe, and ring the bell so we can waste more time together. It'll be fun. I have more than 100 videos on YouTube right now, so there's plenty for you.